2, 1. All right, welcome back, guys. Another special episode of Wow Look Me Now. We're sitting here with Anthony Rocco Martin. He's fighting this week in the UFC. It's huge for us as MMA fans and for Minnesota. So we're just gonna sit down and get to know him a little bit. How you doing today, Tony?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great, great. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a super busy weekend or week. I seen that Brock showed me your schedule, and it looks like you're packed all week with a bunch of different stuff, open workouts, all kinds of stuff. So thank you again for taking the time. It really means a lot to us little guys kind of coming up here. So we appreciate that. But first of all, we'll just kind of get into.
I'm just trying to just really quick here. Let's just. He doesn't even got the last name spelled right on here.
Is it Martian on there?
Oh my goodness, it is.
Oh, it kept autocorrecting. It kept autocorrecting.
It doesn't even. Okay.
Some bad stuff.
Oh shit!
I knew I told you.
God damn.
The whole
we
ride
can't even
up here,
stop.
the whole day, we were talking about how I had to have my facts straight. I can't even spell.
Okay.
Two-thirds.
Okay.
I'll pronounce it. Right. All right. So first of all, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? How was growing up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Palos Heights, Illinois, and then I lived there until about second grade, and I moved out to Minnesota, to Bloomington actually, and then I moved out to Somerset, Wisconsin. Then I moved to North Minneapolis. Then I went back to Chicago all the way up until 7th grade. In 8th grade, I moved back to Somerset, Wisconsin. So that's where I went to high school. Started playing football, and that's really was my inspiration in life was football. I thought I was gonna be a football player, and that's all I did and dreamt of. And so I started playing football and graduated there, and then I went up to NDSU in North Dakota.
You played football in college as well?
Yeah, I walked out on a team there because I actually got kicked out of high school my junior year, so I didn't play my junior year of football, which is your big recruiting year, but I had a really good senior year. So my coaches knew the coaches there at NDSU, and we had this setup where I was a preferred walk-on, and if I made it through the first year, that they would sign me, and we would have some, I didn't make it through the first year. Let's just get it straight.
Short story.
I only went to I only went to football practice. I went to NDSU to play football. I didn't go to the school. So it was kind of one of those things where it was me going to football practice and then me going out and partying. So it didn't work out the greatest.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely know how it goes. So when you were growing up, what's the first memory of, obviously you didn't get martial arts, but what was your first memory of sports that really stood out to you? I want to do this. I want to compete.
Honestly, it was just, when I was growing up in Chicago, you just were always outside. It's definitely a lot different than nowadays where, I'm down, it's summer break right now, and I'm out down in Florida now, and I'm going outside, and I'm like, I'm going to go to the basketball courts, try to play some ball, just get a little sweat in. There's no one there. It's literally the summertime in the middle of the day. There's no one's outside. And I'm just like, this just seems crazy to me. So when I was growing up, I didn't have a gaming system or nothing. We were poor, so I was outside playing sports all the time. So pretty much from a young age, every sport I played, I just thought, I'm going to be Walter Payton, or I'm going to be these greatest, And so that's pretty much me growing up was all sports. Was my whole life.
So you've always been competitive, just always.
Oh yeah, my whole life revolves around winning. So
yeah, I see that a lot. All your kind of bats. I know you're always telling me betting for these
Except
fights.
for cribbage, he's gotten used to losing.
We'll get to that. That's coming up. So how did you find MMA and Brock Larson? Then how did that kind of go in after football?
Yeah, I was kind of getting in trouble, and then I was playing semi-pro football a little bit, just trying to be active. Try to. At this time I still thought I was going to go to St. Cloud State and start playing again, because at this time I moved down to St. Cloud. And then just one of the guys off the semi-pro team was training with Brock, and I don't. Were you hearing a little background there?
Motorcycle.
It was kind of like a scary. It was kind of I kind of like that. I didn't know if we were bringing some music in there.
Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about Mark Hummel? Are you talking about JJ?
No, it was Crazy Legs. What's his name?
Sean Nelson.
Sean Nelson. So Sean Nelson's down here, and he's like, I'll tell you guys a good story about Sean Nelson here soon too. He was training with Brock. It's kind of funny. So he just said, hey, I'm training at this gym down in St. Cloud, because I was always getting in fights, and everyone kind of knew I was getting into fights. not the right way, you know. And so he's like, hey, come check this place out. So I looked up Brock Larson. I seen, you know, he's coming off a couple losses in the UFC. I'm like, this guy's just a straight tomato can. And I'm just like, I'm gonna go in there and smash him real quick, you know, just, you know, see if I really make a run here. And so I go to the gym and I'm like, right away, you know, let's train. And we had this Dan O'Neill, you know, I don't know if you guys know Dan O'Neill, but he's a small guy, like 135 pounds. And
125 pounds.
he fights at 125. He doesn't walk around at 125. Okay, is this Brock's interview or is he?
I don't know.
Go. You sit in the corner and shut your mouth, little boy. Okay. So anyway, so I go in there and this 25 pounder, 125 pound fighter is choking me out, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And no joke, from that day on, I fell in love with it. And like the first week, I just remember like the end of the first week, I had mat burn all over my whole face, all over my body. And Brock's like, you know, you could take a couple of days off if you want. And I was like, no. And I sort of got like 2 months in, I quit my job. I quit everything. I was living off the, you know, my girlfriend at the time. And I was just like, no, this is what I'm going to do.
That's what's up. So you were set right from there.
Yeah, I was addicted. I was just like, I just couldn't believe how someone so small can manipulate someone's body so easily. And really, the whole sport changed my whole outlook in life and everything. You know, it was kind of it was definitely what I needed. If I would have found it a lot earlier, it'd probably have been, you know, a lot better, you know, 18 to 21, 22.
So how old were you when you found MMA then?
I was 21 years old.
21.
Yeah, so I didn't start till I was 21, and 3 years later I was in the UFC.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and I know you made a big splash on the MMA scene right in Minnesota right away. I have it later down here. We'll get kind of into that. But so what does it mean to have a guy like Brock Larson to have your back? Somebody who is a coach, because I know a lot of coaches that they like pigeonhole you. They keep you where you're at in that gym. But this is a guy that sends people out to camps. It wants you to know that, hey, I can only give you a certain level. And once you're at that level, I have to send you somewhere else to get better. Like, what does that mean to you as a fighter and as a person?
No, it's very rare. You know, I look at a lot of different trainers and a lot of different people and a lot of different gyms, and they all think, I don't want to say that they know it all, but they feel like, no, this is where you started, this is where you have to finish, you got to live and die by us. And really, that's just not the best outlook for that athlete. You know, if they truly care about you, they should be looking for you to be the best fighter you can be. And from the very beginning, Brock was like, hey, you needed to find a second coach out here. So he was sending me down to the cellar, he was sending me to the Elk River Academy over there, and then he was sending me over.
We did McCune's too.
Yeah, McCune's. I was at McCune's for a while. So it was always a thing where he was always like, hey, try to get as much knowledge as you can and try to always progress as a fighter. And we'll keep building our base with him. And then, so he was always, that was early on, but he was already, you know, I was 2 years in the training and we were already flying out to American Top Team together, doing some training camps out there and really trying to expand my knowledge of the game. So that's been really eye-opening to me, where, because you see the opposite spectrum, you know, where, so I got so lucky, you know, being with someone like Brock, even though Brock still sends all these guys all over the place, and I feel like it's not really reciprocated. You know, I don't feel like a lot of these other gyms are sending their people out to, you know, I think Brock's one of the best MMA grappling coaches in the world, and I feel like some coaches at other places, you know, they're trying to bring in guys and build their own brand or whatnot, more, you know, they're more focused on making money than making their fighters the best fighters.
Yeah, they want that cash, and at the end of the day, they want to be like, this is my guy, this will be the guy's on ride to the end, I'm going to make all the money off of this guy.
Yeah, and then they just, you know, instead of just having this sport, like Brock has no ego, so it's kind of one of those things where, you know what you bring to the table, and if you're confident in what you could bring to the table, and that you know that that's some of the best that you can give out there in the world, you're not afraid to send them somewhere else, because guess what, you know they're going to come back.
Right.
You know, but if you're worried that, hey, this guy's a lot better than you, and that if they even get a whisper of this guy and then they won't come back, that's why you're not sending people, you know, out to these other places.
Right.
But so he's been, you know, very influential in my training and obviously in my life as well.
Yeah, and he still comes out to Florida and trains with you and helps you out with some of your
Yeah, I
camps
try to
and stuff as well.
I try to get him out there at least a week or two every single camp. But you know, we started school together.
Yep.
Out and pretty much by me starting together, I mean, he's just running it himself. He's doing everything. I don't really do anything. I just believe in what he brings to the table, and that you know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep that going.
Right, and that's my next question as well, is something I don't think a lot of people know, is that you actually talked Brock into keeping a gym and being a coach and not giving up everything. And so like, how can you kind of tell me your side of that story? Like, what made you be like, Brock, there's no fucking way you're giving up? Like, what really pushed you to? Because like you said, you opened a gym together and basically kind of like, Brock, this is you. This is what you deserve because you've done so much. So kind of tell me your side of that story.
Yeah, so it was kind of, for a while he was talking about that he wasn't getting paid at the gym and he just wasn't making enough money to live, and that's kind of, and he's such a cheap ass. Like not a cheap ass, but I'm saying like his cost of living is very low. He's very frugal. Frugal, you know what I mean? Like the guy's driving like a car that he's running through like 20 deer, and he'll keep driving that same car. So it's just like one of those guys that, he's not out buying like expensive stuff, so he's not spending unnecessary money. So if he's struggling to live, you're like, oh shit, like something's wrong, something's not right. And then he was getting job offers, kind of. I'm not sure. Should I be talking about that?
Let's say how much.
So he's getting he's getting job offers, and he's really thinking about giving it up. And at this time I was actually in New Hampshire training with Tim Barshard, Professor Tim, and he was and he's has a couple schools himself, and he consults with karate gyms and all that whatnot. And so I kind of talked to him. I'm like, hey, Brock is talking really about giving this up. And obviously, I'm winning fights, so I have a little extra money, not much. But I'm like, there's no way, like I know how influential he was in my life, and I know that he could bring that to a lot of people's lives, and I think that that's worth more than the money itself. So I was like, hey, let's start this school, and we'll set him on this. Hopefully we can start making some money someday. But the most important thing that I always said from the beginning was that it's just, I obviously don't want to keep flooding money into the school. So as long as it pays for itself, I'm more than happy to pay you whatever you want. You know what I mean? Just let's keep the place going and really start building from there. And really, I think it's been going very well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And I know that, and I don't know if you know, but you trickling down to Brock trickled down now to our gym, and there's I think now 4 or 5 academies in Minnesota, right?
Yeah,
4? You're gonna add 5, right? There's gonna be 5 now. Yeah. So and that's all from you. You know what I mean? That all came down from you. So we can't thank you enough because our gym now is affiliated with Brock, which is affiliated with you, which goes back to the Lima brothers and all that. And,
he's the butterfly.
So,
the butterfly.
You're the butterfly effect for all of us. So we can't appreciate, we can't thank you enough for that. And Brock is, like you said, an amazing guy. And he's somebody I always looked up to as a fighter, watching him go through the WEC and just killing guys and stuff, And so I remember being the first time meeting Brock was like starstruck for me, as just being a young kid seeing that guy. And now to hear that somebody that he brought up is now giving back to him and keeping him in this game and keeping him alive as a coach, it really means a lot to all of us because it trickled down to all of us, and it made our gym so much better. Again, it makes he came down when you flew in on Wednesday, drove directly to our freaking gym just to watch me teach class.
Right.
Like, who does that? Like, who the hell does that?
He also called, I think he called me I called him on Friday or something like that, and he's like, I'm driving to Kansas City. What the hell are you going to Kansas City? What do you mean you're driving to Kansas City? He's like, just Joey's fighting. He had a guy, the corner guys pulled out. And I'm like, Kansas City? Okay, Kansas City's not 2 hours down the road. It's not even like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a real drive. Like, this isn't a joke. And he's like, I drove all night and I took a couple hour nap. So it's just like, that's the type of person he is where, this is an amateur fighter that's just one of his guys where he's like, listen, I'm not going to leave him out there to dry. And, you're talking about a guy, like you guys said, that in Minnesota is a big MMA, legend, and for him to take that time just for that, and he does this all the time. This isn't a one occasion thing. It's just every single time, you get a flat tire, he could be, in Garrison, and then all of a sudden you're in sync. Oh yeah, I'll be there in a couple hours, And it's just like, that's the type of person he is. So it's definitely inspirational just to know that there's that type of people out there.
Yeah, and watching him coach and stuff like that and seeing his energy in the gym, it's amazing to see there's people out there still, because I've been to gyms where guys are just like, get on the mat and do whatever we say. It's not like that with Brock. It's have fun, get out here, let's enjoy ourselves. And it's one of those things too that again, it trickles down to us, and so we can't thank you again enough for all that stuff with Brock. And thank you, Professor Brock, as well, for all your help driving down and
love you
showing
guys.
us all your stuff. So again, Brock is a guy that sends people out, and you were at his camp, and he was your only coach up until you got sent out to Boston, correct? Was the first place?
Well, I was over at going down to the cellar,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, kind of moving around.
Yeah,
but he
moving
was
around.
still
But
your main coach.
yeah,
at
he's
that
still.
point.
I feel like he's always still been my main coach.
Okay, so he is. So that's your head coach now.
Yeah, I still say like yeah, he's definitely the, he's always the guy with the microphone on. So.
Oh, okay, awesome. So he's the guy that now sent you down to ATT Florida, right? He's the first kind of.
Yeah, he was the first one to send me there, and then.
Brought him with me.
And then brought
Yeah,
because
down
Brock
with
was
him.
out there training too for some fights. This is ancient time we're talking here.
Yeah.
And so right away that was the introduction I had, and I knew when I was down there originally I just wasn't quite ready. I didn't think I didn't feel like I was learning enough because I was just thrown with the wolves right away. Where I just felt like I was more of a chew toy than actually getting a chance to learn. So I knew I always wanted to go back at it. More during the prime of my career, and that's why I decided to go back down.
That's where you're at now.
Yeah.
And so, what does it mean to you? Because you're down there with guys like head coach, Mike Brown. And there's so many other million guys down at that gym. So, what is it like for you to be able to go there every day, day in and day out, to work with these high-level guys on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, it's just great. It's just like I just know right now I'm where I belong. So I know that Mike Brown's my head coach down there, and he's a very different. He's very like him and Brock are different type of people. Like Mike's more like a paranoid coach, and then Brock's a little bit more just upbeat. But Mike's that guy that'll drill the one thing for literally 6 months straight. You'll go in there and drill the same damn thing for 6 months, and it's just like, oh, this is getting a little. But it's just one of those things where he's just gonna know that when you get in that situation, that you're gonna do exactly what is being done. So he's been very great in that aspect, and obviously, like you said, that's the best training partners in the world.
Right. And so he's kind of like that 1,000 hours coach. You got to have your 1,000 hours before you get out of this position. Now you get your 1,000 hours in this next position and keep going, kind of like you can't fly, until you get that 1,000 hours.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big thing, with Mike is where he's just like, we're gonna find a way to beat him, and then we're gonna do this thing, like you said, 1,000 hours, and you're just like, and a lot of places, it gets kind of boring sometimes, but it's just like. That once the fire starts, that you even get close to that position, you're going right to what is being done and what's being said. And for this fight specific with MAIA, we've been working a lot of things where I'm trying to break some old habits that I did all the time that probably wouldn't be great for fighting Damion, because I feel like I'm such a good grappler that a lot of my defense is grappling defense, and with this fight, it's more of like, hey, let's wrestle. Wrestle is our defense. It's not grappling. So.
Yeah, you don't want to play into that game. Is kind of your thing.
Yeah.
You want to use your strengths against his. So something to kind of get off topic here, and I know Brock was yelling at us, is I hear you like to play card games. I see that all the time.
Yeah.
You're always playing cards. I seen even you had a courage board. You looks like you just bought here.
Yeah,
so
TC bought that.
There's a thing
DC.
about
DC.
DC, yeah, big DC.
Daniel Cormier is the corner. Daniel.
So I know Brock has always told me that he's the best courage player, right? And I was watching an interview earlier today because I've been kind of watching some interviews and kind of getting some ideas and stuff. And I seen Kayla actually said that she was beating you at Uno at one point.
No.
And so I just want to know, who is the best card player out of your whole group of people?
The best card player,
Yeah.
hands down. I'm the best card player in the world. Not
the world.
In the world. You bring me 20 different games, and I will guarantee you I come out on top.
You play spades?
Oh yeah, I'll destroy you in spades. We can play this right now.
Oh shit.
We can bring it out right here.
I will
run it
all
all.
your asses in spades.
Yeah, you?
No.
Fuck yeah.
He doesn't
What
know
do you say,
spades.
me and you?
He doesn't
Fuck
know
me,
spades.
motherfucker.
I play it all. So I play bid. I'll play, hearts if you want to run it.
Hearts.
Hearts, spades.
Rummy,
Rummy, I love. No,
Tyson beat his ass in Rummy.
that's not true.
Tyson did beat
So
his ass.
this is what happens. This is how good I am at cards. Okay, we'll be playing cards or Monopoly or any of these games, and I swear to God, they all start ganging up because they all just want to, because they know that I have a temper too. Because like if I start losing, I get so fucking mad. So it's
You're
like
a fucking
they'd
motherfucker,
rather have anyone else win other than me. That they will like
No,
know
that's what
games
you
to
say
win.
about me,
Look at him.
motherfucker.
See, look at him.
Yeah,
See how that is.
no, bitch.
See, look at him. Like
That's
that.
so fucking perfect.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to start some shit, so I wrote that shit down for perfect. That's so
No,
funny.
yeah, for sure though. You bring me 20 games, I'm coming on top of it. No, I don't care who
You
you
give
are.
him 20 games, he's winning one of them for sure. Give him fucking beat.
He'll win 1 out of 20?
He only knows how to play cribbage. It's only,
That's the only
he's
card
fucking
he-
shit. He doesn't even know how to
Who
play
won
Uno.
last-
All you do is
last-
follow
last
colors
year?
and Uno.
Who
He doesn't
took
even know how to play Uno.
Who took your money?
Not you.
I took all your motherfucking money.
He flipped my table at my house. I had this Airbnb. He flips it. There's coffee, right? Hot coffee. All of a sudden I'm like,
ants everywhere.
He's so mad. He flips the table. There's coffee all over the place. I'm like, why is my leg hot all of a sudden? And I'm like, shit, there's coffee. Fucking everything's smashed. I'm like, you need to take a couple deep breaths.
There was ants. They were fucking crawling everywhere.
It's fucking
Get
horrible.
rid of them.
See, it's the best thing because we were just talking to Mo, and Mo was like, if you can get Brock mad, blah, blah, and I was like, wait, you just wait. We're going to get him Tony talking about card games. We're going to get him fired up. So Tony is Anthony, sorry, you go by Anthony now, but we all know he was Tony's because when he started out. So you are the best.
So I came out to
in the
Tony
world.
Martin. So this is the story. This is a true, 100% true story. The reason why I was coming out to Tony Martin is that I was so worried about, because I had a criminal record.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
So if you plugged in Anthony Rocco Martin, the criminal record popped up, and I was like, shit, the UFC plugs this in, my criminal record's going to pop up, so they may have a problem with that. So I always said, oh, I'll just start coming out to Tony Martin. Because I think my fight actually in the Target Center, well, my second pro fight, I came out to Anthony Rocco Martin. Then after that, I was like, I should probably just stick with Tony Martin so it's not pulling up on the, Tapology and Sherdog and whatnot. So that's why the name is back to Anthony Rocco Martin, because that's what I wanted. And then, but I was, kind of scared that getting my criminal record.
The back down might sneak up on you.
Well, then if eventually, like, Joe Silva's like, dude, do you think, like, everyone's, like, choir boys in here? Like, what the hell do you think's going on?
Right.
So.
Well, that's cool. They kind of came to you, you're like, dude, just be you. That's awesome. So now, you're going by Anthony Rocco Martin and not Martian, obviously, because that's how I can't fucking spell. But I did spell it down here, right?
Oh, you did.
So I did spell it right a couple times. Again, I just try to get this done really fast. And so, what does it mean for you to be fighting right here in Minnesota? It's where you started back and against Bruce Johnson, which is the guy I actually trained with back in the day. And I remember taking that fight and like, don't fucking take this fight. He's gonna kill you. He trains with Brock. But January 2012.
Team Crazy!
Yeah, Team Crazy, man. Too many goddamn sparring sessions. I got CTE, so that's not good.
So I think it's awesome. But really quick, just to touch on this Bruce Johnson fight.
Yeah,
He
good.
swept him.
So I swear to God, he came up to me before the fight with I think it was his niece or something like that. And he comes up to me with his niece and he's like, hey, Tony, please don't hurt me. And I swear to God. And I was like, this is the weirdest. I was like, that's really weird. You know what I mean? And I was just like really weirded out by that. I didn't hurt him. I just choked him. I just choked him. I said, it's time to go to sleep, But no, I like I was telling people, you're always, really, I only fought Bruce Johnson. I think Bruce Johnson's the only guy from Minnesota that I fought.
Oh, really?
So if you look at my record, right, I had 8 fights before I went to the UFC. Only one of those people are actually from Minnesota that was training in Minnesota.
Wow.
Other than that, Tyler Hellenbrand came up, was training at the academy, but he was from Wisconsin, but he came up and they trained there, and then I fought him. But outside that, no one from Minnesota would fight. So that was the problem I was always running into. That's why I went pro right away. So I just had 2 amateur fights, and I was trying to fight everyone at the time. That's when Dan Morant, Kratzky was out there. And then, So I was trying to chase them right away, but for some reason, this hype got built, right? That Tony was some killer, and so it kind of, no one would fight, and then obviously that Jornberg was running a lot of the fighters out here, and he wouldn't put any of his guys with me, and then so I was always running into that issue where no one from Minnesota would fight me, so I was always having to travel or fight for free, or it was just kind of crazy. And then I was just lucky that Brock had connections to call these guys to get me fights.
Right.
So that was kind of, but no, it's cool. Like you always, I didn't really, because I grew up in, like I said, so many different places. I didn't really have a big following in Minnesota either. So it's kind of one of those things where I didn't sell a lot of tickets. But, obviously now I have so many connections to St. Cloud that, I definitely say St. Cloud, Minnesota is my home. Mm-hmm. And you always want to leave when you're here. You want to get to the big show, leave. And now it's exciting to obviously the UFC is coming back to Minnesota for the first time in 7-8 years.
7 years, yeah.
And I think now I'm the guy from Minnesota, so I'm excited to be here, and I hope that that this just leads into me bringing the UFC back after this next win.
Yeah, and we were, like I said, we were just talking to Mo too, and that's the same thing we were telling him, and it's the same as you. It's amazing for guys like me who I wanted to be in the UFC. My goal was to be a UFC fighter, to be the champion, and I never got to make that. But to see the guys like you that made it, and now you're bringing it back to Minnesota, because Minnesota's not coming back for Francis Ngannou. They're not coming back here for Junior Dos Santos. You know, they go to Brazil, they go somewhere else for that. They're coming back for the Minnesota guys, and they brought 3 guys on our card, and they put you on the main card, which is huge for Minnesota and for MMA, and just for guys like us that. I mean, Jay Polson's an up and coming, guy. He just had his first pro fight. He was a 2-time amateur champion. So to know that the UFC is willing to come back because of guys like you that put in the time and bust their ass and made the name for themselves really means a lot to all of us guys, our coaches, and all of that. So it's amazing to have the UFC back and have somebody like you representing us and our team. And again, we're from Start BJJ. We're all in the same family, so we all kind of feel like we're out there with you, and we all got your back. And so it's amazing to have somebody like you on the card. And so I can't thank you enough for bringing that back to Minnesota and keeping it here, because again, for the last 7 years, Minnesota MMA has been dead. We don't have the Sean Shirks, we don't have any of those guys like we used to have when it was the heydays of MMA, and now it's kind of slowly trickling back into us because of guys like you, guys like Mo, and so it really means a lot for fighters, especially like Jay Polson. I know it means a lot for him knowing that one day he could fight right here where he grew up in Minnesota for the UFC, for the biggest promotion there is. So that means a lot to all of us. So. And I'm sure for you, knowing that you're kind of leading that path for all of us has got to mean a lot to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like you said, it's huge, I think, for the Minnesota fighters. I feel like the fight scene's been dying down here, too. And, Brock's had the same problem with, trying to find these guys fights is difficult because it's just not the scene that it used to be. But, this is how you build it, You bring the biggest show in the world here, and then you keep building off that ideally, this win could easily set up, more fights here, without a doubt. We're headlining cards here, and hopefully,
Fight for a world title.
I just need these Minnesota guys to get on the bandwagon and really start, helping push my brand so that we could build the whole scene here as well. So kind of the big part is obviously handling business on Saturday is the most important, but I definitely feel like my home's Minnesota, and my game plan is, like Brock said, is to bring a world title back here.
Oh yeah, man, we're rooting for you for sure. So like I was telling you, this is your 13th fight in the UFC. After you win, what's next for Anthony Rocco Martin?
Man, is that not the quietest 12 UFC fights you've ever seen come on the 13th?
Right.
I mean, like, holy shit, right?
You're 8-4 right now.
Yeah.
Your only losses are in the UFC.
Yeah, and then won 7 of 8, and
you feel more home at 170.
Push.
You feel more healthier.
Oh,
yeah. You feel more home there.
Yeah, I mean, I can eat whatever I want.
Because you're 6 foot, right?
Yeah, I'm 6 feet. I'm not the biggest, but I definitely my living situation is just so much better where I don't really have to focus on eating, at specific times or what I'm eating. It really pisses Brock off. You know what I mean? Because he's always like, no, you got to be dedicated, or you got to be like more strict, or and it's just like it drives him insane. Because I'll be eating McDonald's 3 weeks out. I'm not kidding. Okay, because honestly,
he's poisoning himself.
No, so if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. Okay, and I'm a lazy motherfucker when it comes to cooking now. So I used to like enjoy the whole process of cooking, but it was just like an all-day event, was because I was so obsessed with eating. Because at 55, I was always starving. So I was like, the whole process of cooking was so fun because it wasted time. But now I'm just not sitting around starving all the time, so I don't need to waste time. So I rather just relax and play a game or something like that. But no, this win is huge. Like you said, I won 4 in a row at 170. Fighting the number 12 guy in the world in MAIA, considered the best grappler in MMA history. So this is definitely the why in the road. I think this is truly, you're either on that real title contention, or I might as well think about wrapping it up. Because I'm not here to fight in the UFC. I've never said I wanted to fight in the UFC. I've only wanted to be the UFC champion. So anything outside of being the UFC champion, I consider a failure. So my goal is only to be the UFC champion. So I'm going to do everything I can to be the champion. The second I feel like that goal is over, I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm moving to St. Cloud, and me and Brock are teaching. That's it.
That's what you're going to be a teacher after you?
Yeah. I'm not going to teach as many classes as Brock. Brock's over here like all day, every day. I'm going to be like that. 1 or 2 classes a day
Yeah,
type
Brock
guy.
drives 4 hours just to teach our gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then drives 4 hours back.
Have you
home.
ever driven with Brock?
Fuck no.
No. I'll tell you right now. I'm not sure if it's driving because it's just like it's like it goes from both sides because I think he dazes out and doesn't even pay attention because this guy could drive for
No,
like.
you pay taxes on both sides of the road. You don't drive on
So you
both
drive
sides
on
of the road.
both?
So yeah, so he's definitely tests the road out. He's gone off roading a few times, bumped his head a few times, and he just daydreams. I think when he's driving, so it literally hours to him is probably like minutes to us.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
but it is crazy how he does it. And then he'll teach 12 classes in a day, and then sleep 3 hours and wake up the next morning and just be like so lively. And I'm just like, dude, you need to.
He
You
does
really need
sleep
to,
though. Yes, he does sleep.
I'm not sure. So one time when we were fixing the start school, right? We were smashing out the walls and we were sleeping in the room and then he smacked. It was like 3 a.m. Okay, I sleep with earplugs and eye mask. Okay, this is from my days in jail. Okay, because now I need my eye mask and earplugs. So he takes a sledgehammer. Okay, 3 inches in front of my head. It's about 3 or 4 in the morning. I don't know what time. He smashes the hole right in front of my head. Okay, and I hear this huge boom, and for some reason I have like a delayed ass reaction, right? I don't know. I hear something kind of because I'm in the middle of my dead sleep, right? And I wake up, I come in and I'm like, ah! And I'm like, what the? So I freak out, like, what the hell, right? And I swear the next day, it's like 3 a.m. I gotta take a piss. I roll out of bed so softly. He's like, I could hear you. And I'm like, are you fucking sleeping or like what the hell is he?
He's like a vampire.
No, he's like, I can hear you. I'm like, what?
Like, you want to fuck you with me?
I'm
Let
like,
him know.
what the hell?
Let him know.
So I don't know. To answer your question, I'm not sure if he's sleeping or if he's just acting like he's sleeping.
I've been wondering that for a
it's
while.
possible that he's just playing around and just acting like he's doing it.
That's awesome. So at 170 now, your workouts, everything's got to feel so much better. Just your life has to be just so much smoother. Like you said, you're not always worried about food, like your food prep, all that crap. So do you feel like you're better after workouts and all that stuff? You feel more energetic and stuff like that?
Yeah,
you
no, I
maybe push
definitely.
yourself a little more
No,
as well?
I feel a lot. Dude, my move up to 170 is an anomaly. It really because it just doesn't make sense. I started eating whatever I wanted. I don't really lift anymore like I used to at 55, and then I just do whatever I want, and I'm just having the most success that I've had. Where it just doesn't make sense if you really think about it. But I think it's just my overall demeanor has been just so much better. Where I just enjoy the whole process more than it being like a boom, boom, boom. You have
like
to
a
do
chore,
this.
right?
Yeah, like everything was like scheduled for me. Where you have to do this, you have to do this because you got to cut this, you got to do this. Where everything wasn't laid back, and now it's so much more laid back, which it's just brought a different aspect to the game that at 55 I didn't have. So my definitely advice to everyone now is just I would stay up if you don't have a height problem. I think a height problem is definitely my advantage. Where if I weighed what I weigh now and I was 5'7" like Brock, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Like a shit, motherfucker.
and then so I'm like, no, but I have reach and all that going for me. So I think that the least amount of weight that you can cut, as long as there's not a reach and height disadvantage, I think that really could pay off long term as well. So no, I'm really enjoying it at 170. I think my whole life has been better, and I'm just able to do whatever I want now, which is really big.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you're getting into more workouts and stuff like that as well, because you're not feeling like shit like every morning.
Yeah, I
like
mean, I
that
get
and all that.
no for sure. Whenever I want to work out now, I could work out. I have the energy. I started running I used to never do road work. I was not the biggest believer in the road work really until I moved up to 170, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what was it, the Nakamura fight? I was feeling a little bit tired, but I was okay. And then the Ryan LaFleur fight, I started running like 2.5 weeks out of that fight for some reason, and then I felt a little bit tired in between the second and third round where just my muscles did, and then the Jake Matthews fight, I was like, you know, I took that one on 6 weeks notice, and I was like, I'm gonna run this whole camp, you know, just to keep that. And man, I just felt like my cardio was so ridiculous, where it just didn't make sense how my cardio felt so good. And then after that, I was like, man, running is the key. But it was something where I think my energy levels at 155 were so low where I just never felt like running.
Right.
So, but now at 170, I get up and I run, and it's you know, I kind of mildly enjoy it. So it's I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. 'Cause there's definitely some things that I know when I was 22 or 21 that I like history and stuff. I used to be like, dude, I don't need to know anything about history. Like, who cares? And then I'm getting older, and then I'm like starting to get interested in certain things. And I'm like, man, you got to be getting old or something. I don't know. Like, you're starting to care about a lot of things you didn't care about.
Right. Kind of changing as a person, right?
Yeah. So I think you know, that road work is very real. I think that's something. The move up to 170 is brought light on me.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that, you know, a lot of fighters, if they see this, are definitely can take that to heart and be like, wow, this is somebody that's making it. He's making this run right now, and this is the advice he's giving. And road work, don't cut your weight, don't kill yourself. Because it was something I did a lot of times. I would try to cut 8 or 9 pounds the day of the weigh-in, and then diet, you know, 6 weeks before that, trying to make 45. And it was just something that, again, I didn't run, I didn't do any extra workouts. I think just I was so dead worried about making that weight.
Yeah.
And it was for me, it was always like, the fight's the fun part because cutting weight is the hard part. And so I had to make sure I got the weight, and once the weight was off, I was like, okay, good. But I never really felt like I was 100% ever in any fights.
But yeah, my OAM fight, that was the last fight I had at 55. We got the call about 5 weeks out, and the only question was always when they called me to ask me if I wanted to fight was, can you make weight? The question was never like, can you beat this guy? Are you better than this guy? Or like the matchup. It was always just like, hey, we had to call these dietitians to see if we can make the weight. You know, we're trying to figure it out. I'm literally drinking a gallon of cabbage juice for the whole week. I swear to God, it's the nastiest thing. I'm not joking you. This is a true story. I'm drinking a gallon of cabbage juice. I despise cabbage.
That's fucking horrible, dude.
I absolutely hate cabbage. And I'm drinking a gallon of cabbage juice. And I'm just like, I had to boil this cabbage for hours and then drink all the juice. You know how nasty that is? And then, so, because I'm like trying to cleanse my system. I don't know. I'm doing whatever I'm told. And the whole process of 5 weeks was, can we make weight? The whole question is like, can we get weight? So, you know, before weigh-ins, I'm in this tub going in and out of this tub for the last 24 to 32 hours. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. And I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing. All I can keep saying is this is ridiculous. Because I'm thinking in my head, like, there's no way this is healthy. And I was just like dying, and then I felt like we weighed in. I ended up making weight. I don't know how I did it. But it was just, I was sweating so slowly. But I was able to, my sweat didn't stop. I was just able to keep doing it, but it took 24 to 32 hours. And I slept like 2 hours at night. I was supposed to get 4 hours, but then they're waking me up. They're waking me up early to go back in the tub. It's 2 hours. I'm like, and I'm like, dude, this is just, I'm so upset. Like, even Brock and them, when Brock isn't talking to you, he knows you're pissed off. You know what I mean? Because he's like, no, he's like, I can see, like, this doesn't seem right. You know, there's something seems wrong. So I ended up making weight, and I didn't even afterwards, it took me like an hour or so to actually start eating and drinking because I felt my stomach was so messed up. And then the next day, I'm not even feeling like warming up in the background. I'm in the back, and I'm just like, then I get in the fight, and I'm telling you, dude, I'm telling myself to move, and my body's not, I'm like, move, Tony, go, throw, move, and I cannot move. Third round comes, right? I feel like, you know, first round was close, definitely got wiped out second round, pretty much just laid on my back. And then, third round, I'm like, okay, Tony, your technique is absolute dog shit right now. You can't, I'm telling stuff to go to my brain, it's not working. So I'm like, you just got to start throwing, start brawling, start trying to do something. So I started throwing, and I almost gave him the submission. I'm on top, I'm on the back. They're young, coaches are young, they cut them loose. You know, and all I'm thinking is like, no, I'm not cutting nobody loose. I'm thinking, okay, worst case, this round's 10-8. We're going to a draw, worst case scenario. Because I felt like I absolutely dominated the round. I feel like the scoring now for sure. But anyways, I felt like complete shit. After that fight, I'm like, dude, you're moving up to 170 pounds. And this is when I was going to move out to American Top Team after this fight. So I go down to American Top Team. I'm training for a few weeks. I tell the UFC, hey, I'm moving up to 170, and I'm training with Mike, and then the UFC calls me and says, hey, we got you a fight at 155 with Jim Miller. Okay, so I'm like, well, shit, that's a big fight. You're damn right. I'm taking the fight. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take the fight. So I go back to the gym. I tell Mike, I'm like, hey, I'm taking this fight at 55. He's like, you're not taking any fight at 55. He's like, I see you training at these guys at 170 down here. He's like, you're going to 170, Tony. So I was like, okay, well, you're going to call my manager at the time, and you're going to tell him. So he tells them. So he did that. He called my manager at the time and said, hey, Tony's moving up to 170. And that was really the beginning of
the success so far.
Yeah, so now it's just the beginning of this ride that I'm going to take all the way to the title.
So if it was you and Mike wasn't there, you'd still be a fucking 55er.
Well, I mean, because it's the UFC, those, you know what I mean? I feel like they're not giving me these big opportunities. So I was like, always begging for, I was one of those guys that I was like, listen, I'll be on that last fight of my contract. I'm looking for the toughest fight out there. You know what I mean? I feel like that's how I've always been. I've never been out here searching for easy wins, where I feel like a lot of these guys are calling out guys that are easy wins or whatnot, where I'm trying to always look for the toughest guy in the division that's going to get me closer to the title, because really that's all I cared about was the title. And the rest doesn't matter. So if it's not getting me closer to the title, I don't even care about the fight. So when I heard Jim Miller, I'm like, that's a big fight. That's a guy that's been in the UFC for a long time. He's had over 30 UFC fights, and I'm like, this could be. But I'm lucky I lost to OAM. You think about it, I wouldn't beat OAM. I was in the top 15. I'm still at 155, killing myself, hating life, and so that loss there really made my whole career. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, that's the thing that a lot of people fighting and starting can figure out. I know Jay Paulson here kills himself to get to fucking 55, which he balloons right back up. I think around 85 is what he walks around at right now. And so it's like, it's really hard for especially guys like that. So hopefully somebody, sitting in the room is taking that to heart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I walk around at about 184 pounds. So I don't now. I used to walk around heavier at 155 than I did at 170 because I'd balloon up. So I'd cut all that weight. I'd make weight. I'm not kidding. So I almost fought Jim Miller before that. Was on 2 weeks' notice. I fought in Brazil and I lost. And I telling Joe Silva, I think was at this time, and I'm like, I need to fight. Give me another fight. So they're like, all right, we got Jim Miller in 2 weeks. So I'm like, shit. Let me get on the scale. I swear to God, 202 pounds. I was 200. This is 3 days after the fight. 3 days after the fight, I was 202, and I was like, okay, this definitely isn't healthy, but I'm definitely not making 155 in 2 weeks. That doesn't make any sense. But so now, I'm walking around at 184 pounds, and actually I've been a little heavier this camp. I don't know why, but I've been walking around like 87 this camp.
Ice cream. That's why.
I actually haven't been eating a lot of ice cream, regretfully.
That's this fucking guy's. Right after every fight, he'll go to Dairy Queen and just fucking. You see pictures every fight.
No,
so black guys eating ice cream.
So when I was used to fight at 55, because at first I started at 170, I went down to 155. You see this table right here? You see this table right here? In my room, out of weigh-ins, all week, all I would do is go out and buy candy. I swear to God, the whole entire table, you can ask Brock, cookies, my whole entire table was full of candy.
I got pictures somewhere.
And they're just like, every time they're like, oh my God, Tony, like, what's wrong with you? And I'm telling you right now, I would eat it all.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit.
You get $100 gift certificate from fucking Sam's Club to go buy some party supplies for the grand opening for
all
the
candy.
For the grand opening of the school.
It's a good deal.
All candy.
It's a good deal.
All fucking candy.
Good deal, right? So,
Kids loves it though.
So now I'm like, I'm walking around at, lighter than I was at 155. So I'm cutting less weight, and my performance, I feel like, is just skyrocketing. It's obviously confidence as well. My confidence is sky high, and I just know what I'm really capable of. But I think that 55 was taking a lot out of my confidence as well, because you're killing yourself so much and you're so focused on one thing instead of just focusing on being the best fighter. That's where I've come to now. Is when I fought Ryan LaFleur. Okay, it was my second fight at 170, and really you still are questioning if you're a true 170 pounder. I knock out Ryan LaFleur. We go back in. The UFC started this thing where they're weighing you right after the fight for some reason, right? Ryan LaFleur weighs in before me, and Mike's watching him, and he weighs in at 193 pounds. This is after the fight, you know, so I don't know what he came in at, probably 97 or something like that. I get on the scale, 176 pounds. Mike's like, oh my goodness. He's like, Tony, you know, I've never said this before, but
Roadman!
you may need to start lifting. And but at that point I was like, no, weight doesn't matter. 176 pounds. Okay, this guy's 193 pounds. After that, I saw that, I was like, listen, now I'm gonna really focus on just being the better fighter. The better fighter is gonna win, and I'm just gonna make sure that I'm the better fighter. And so that's all I've been focusing on. So I definitely recommend that if you don't have to cut the weight, that there's no point cutting the weight.
Right. And like you said, you feel like you were ballooning up because you were cutting so much and depleting yourself that you were like looking forward to like, oh my God, I finally get to eat now. So you just eat whatever the hell you can.
So also the beginning of the UFC career though, I was also like, first I think I was in the UFC too soon. You know, I don't think I was quite ready. My skill set wasn't there. So I needed that weight advantage. I needed that strength advantage that I wouldn't necessarily have had because I didn't have the skill yet. You know what I mean? But I just recommend now, like, dude, there's no point in rushing your career because I'll tell you, I had a post about this recently where it's better to lose on the regional scene than in the UFC. I truly believe this wholeheartedly, where the second you enter the UFC is kind of like the second you go from amateur to pro, is where your whole amateur career is wiped out when you go pro, is your whole pro career is wiped out the second you get into the UFC. So at that point is when you're judged. So what you do beforehand has no judgment or any bearing on your UFC followers, because most people that are watching the UFC, you know, they don't see those fights. They're not even Googling, looking at who you've lost to or looking at your records. They're seeing what they see right then and there. That's your first impression. And when you start 1-3 in the UFC, I'll tell you right now, it's a hell of a way to climb out of there, man.
I'm sure.
And it's been a long road out, and I feel like I'm just starting to climb out where I'm almost there. I win this fight, man, I'm going to tell a lot of those UFC guys better start puckering up. Because it's been a long road where I feel like obviously starting 1-3 makes it a lot tougher. But get your experience on the regional scene. Do not rush your career because, like I said, the thing that happens when you go from amateur to pro is the same thing that happens when you go from the regional scene to the UFC. Yes, it's still on your pro record, but that's what the people see. Okay, you could be a complete fucking shit can your whole, you know, getting these close split decisions or getting these close fights on the regional scene. And one fight, you come in the UFC and you have one big fight, you could be a star the next day. It literally just takes that first fight, you're a star the next day. But the second people are disinterested, it's a long road back.
And you're a guide testament to that. And you switch everything around, and now you kind of figured out what it is to get out of that hole. And you can kind of be a testament to other fighters coming up. Like, dude, this is the way to do it. And that's great for you to say that, especially, you know, we got Jay here and the other fighters are obviously watching this, that they can kind of test that, like, oh yeah, maybe I am cutting too much weight. You know, maybe I am not really doing the smartest things for myself. Maybe I am hurting myself rather than doing benefit to myself. And so that's great to hear. But so at the end of the day, when you're done fighting, everything's over, what do you want people to remember about you? What do you want to leave in people's minds?
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be remembered. That's as, you know, a fighter. You know, I feel like I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I don't want to be a top 10 UFC fighter. I want everyone to remember me as the ultimate competitor. You know, I'm the guy that literally all I care about is winning. There's literally nothing else. You will never catch me playing any game in this world where I'm not genuinely trying to win. And that's no matter what. Okay, I don't even know what the game is. I'm trying to win. Okay? So I'm a horrible person to have at family events because, you know, I'm knocking over Brock's a testament. You know, I went to a 4th of July party once, and, you know,
he's tagging my 10-year-old cousin.
They wanted to play football, so I told them, I'm playing for keeps.
They're 10.
You know? Okay.
They're 10 years old.
So
Tony's stiff-arming them and shit.
Things got a little aggressive, but I'm trying to win. So I'm like, listen, that's why, this is a true story, off topic.
That's fine.
But in high school, you know, I used to get kicked out of gym class all the time too from being just way over competitive. But I always liked to, like when I was the captain or something, picking players, you know, I always liked to pick the mentally handicapped kids, okay? And there was a reason to that. There was the only reason, because all I cared about was, I didn't really care if you're good. All I cared was that you gave 100. So that's what I cared about. Those kids would try their hearts out, and I loved that. And so those are like I had the most fun playing with them. It'd be all these like girls or something are sitting there, standing in the middle of the place, like talking and stuff. And that's when I was getting kicked out, because I'd start snapping on them, and they're like, it was just bad. But I was just like, listen, you're going to do it 100%. And that's kind of what I want to be remembered by, is just everything I did was 100%. I gave everything. And that's why, you know, I'm not going to be, you know, one of these guys that are going to hang around forever if I'm losing. You know, I'm not trying to be a loser and sit around and just be happy to be participating. You know, I'm not happy to fighting. Yeah, I'm not happy to fight Damion Maia. You know, I'm happy to beat Damion Maia. Okay, I'm not happy to fight Damion Maia. I lose to Damion Maia, that's a loss. People say they win or they learn. I'm telling you right now, you lose in a lot of ways. Okay, I don't know what the hell they're saying, but you lose your record, your financials, your pride, your respect out of, like, in the public. You may not care about those things, but those things are the things you're losing. I ain't trying to lose in anything. Okay, I'm trying to win.
Hell yeah. All
right, so if I don't win, I'm not happy. Okay, I don't want to be one of those guys where I lose to Damion Maia and be like, oh hey, I fought Damion Maia. Or I saw a recent fighter post something like this about Thiago Santos, where he's like, yeah, I mean, my greatest memory was not getting finished by Santos. And I'm like, your greatest memory is losing to somebody? That might be the dumbest ass thing I've ever heard in my whole life. And I'm just like, for some reason, I don't know, I haven't started doing it yet, but eventually I'm gonna start coming on Twitter and hammering those guys. Because I'm just like, no dude, like, you're an idiot. If your fondest memory of MMA is losing, okay, you're an idiot. Okay, like, I've never heard of something so ridiculous. Like, you're so honored to fight someone that you didn't care that you lost. Or it was like, remember Holly Holm about Chris Cyber was like, she came out and said something. She's like, they asked her, hey, how do you feel about giving, or do you take anything out of giving Cyborg a tough fight? She's like, yeah, you know what, I kind of do. You know, I take a lot from being her hardest fight. You got your ass whooped, and that you take a lot of pride in that? I don't take any pride in losing, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Every one of my losses, I run that back right now if they wanted to, you know? So if they want to run it back, I'll come here and we'll run it back. But there's no way I'm ever going to be that guy that's going to be like, oh, I fought that guy. No. I lost you, you're dead to me. Like, you're dead. Like, you're scratched out. Like, I don't even know who you are. You know what I mean? I see you out in public. Like, I want to fight you. So I'm just like, no, I'm never going to take pride in being a part of a show or being in the UFC or, you know, I'm only taking pride in winning. Okay? So that's all I'm here to do is win. And hopefully winning's enough.
Oh, yeah. And that kind of goes back to, you're not going to be that journeyman. You're not going to be the Bruce Johnson who his biggest highlight was fighting Tony Martin in his first pro fight. No. You know, you're not going to be that fucking guy. You're never going to let yourself be that person.
No, I'm not trying to stick around unless someone's throwing some crazy ass money at me, you know, to come out there and fight. You know, if someone's throwing ridiculous money, I might be like, okay, you know, I'll take this fight. But like I said, the second I feel like my UFC dream, my UFC dream of winning a title is over, that I'm probably gone. You know what I mean? But I truly believe in my ability. I think, you know, for the last 2 years I've been saying, you know, another 3-4 years. So, but I really think, like, right now, mostly MMA, I feel like that prime's about 31, 32. That I'm coming, you know, I'm 29, coming up on 30, and you know, these next few years are very crucial. This next fight is really, I think, the Y in the road of my career, especially in the UFC. I think that I don't see, if I lose this fight, with me sticking around the UFC much longer. But I do think that I'm one of the best fighters in the world. I do believe I could be a UFC champion, and I think Saturday night's just the beginning.
Oh yeah, man. So who do you have to thank? Sponsors, coaches, anything like that?
Well, Broccoli, you know.
Broccoli, okay.
Broccoli for you know, he's stuck with a lot of my drama over the years and a lot of my bullshit. And pretty much my life coach. That, you know, I pretty much all my girlfriends and ex-wife and all that call him. You know, they got a problem. They call him. He's my full-blown counselor, I guess, too. And So pretty much, I'm just, giving. Obviously, I truly believe that my whole life and career is a tribute to the person that Brock is, where, he changed my life for the better, where I think that he was a very loyal person to his whole life. Everything that he did was, he didn't sway from anything. This is a guy that's fighting Melvin Manoff in 1FC, where they're advocating you to do steroids. I'm telling him, listen, Brock, you need to go with some sauce. I mean? They're not testing you. It's time for you to go. And he's like, he's so stubborn. He's like, nah. He's like, I don't want to ever be known for doing that. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. These guys, this is when like people were getting like TRT and shit like that, and I was just like, man, they're giving you a free out to do this. Now's your time, and he wouldn't do it. He swayed him. That's just one small example of like the character, but that's a big one because there's so much financial gain. Yeah. So if you're not willing to fuck around when you have ridiculous financial gain on the line, think about like you're not fucking around with nothing. You know what I mean? Like you're living by the T. You're gonna do shit the right way. So that was really big because me, I was that guy that's at Best Buy sneaking shit out the back door. You know what I mean? So then I come in and there's this total different person that really changed my whole life. Was a really big inspiration in who I've become. And now it's the person I am today.
Hell yeah. You got anybody else to thank you on?
Yeah, just obviously all my teammates, coaches. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
And we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, man. It really means a lot. And again, to have Brock help us out, it means a lot. Something that I was telling Mo too, right when I was telling Brock, he was telling me stories about Mo and being an ultimate fighter and stuff, and I was like, I want to do a podcast and get him on my podcast. She's like, yeah, do it. I'll get Tony on, I'll get Kayla on, I'll go on. And I was like, the next day, I started ordering shit for podcast. I was like, all right, I got my end. I got some guys, I got it perfect, and so I'm very, very thankful. And I don't like to use the word blessed, but that's basically how I feel right now. It's just to be able to come and talk to you guys and spend this time with you guys, and just to get to know you as a person and not just see the fighter and all that. Because I always hear great stories from Brock about how you're so competitive, but you're such a great guy, and I can't play cards against you because you're whip my ass apparently. So. It's awesome for you to take the time out of your day, because I know you were sitting here watching your teammates fight and stuff, so we kind of took away from you.
No,
so,
of course.
You flew in, just a few hours ago, so it really means a lot for you to take your time, and we really appreciate it. A big thing just at the end, I just want to thank our sponsors, Justin Cobalt from Precision Detailing. You can find them at Precision Detailing LLC on Facebook, as well as Gone Clothing. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Gone Clothing, Gone. And then the Melting Clock, who is my CBD sponsor for my jiu-jitsu as well as the podcast, and they've done a lot of help. So that's Alex from the Melting Clock. And again, you can find them on Facebook or Instagram.
Well, hey, wait, let me jump in on these.
Yeah, jump
Jesus,
up. Yeah,
holy
sponsors,
shit! I better get that Tony Brown at fucking Riddle's Jewelry, baby. Riddle's Jewelry. He's actually making me like this badass fucking hard to play on my gold necklace. I'm pulling out these chops and everything. Hell yeah, I'm like that country gangster going. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up. Anybody else, any sponsors or anything that really got your back?
I mean, Brock's pretty much my biggest sponsor.
I know you said in one of your fights that you don't really do sponsors. You just kind of show up and you fight.
That's it, man. I'm here to fight. I'm here to win. That's it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks again, Tony. I appreciate all your time.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you.